Welcome, everybody, to The Breakdown with your not-so-humble talking hairdo, Ben. It's great to see everybody. Just kidding with the shades. You like that, though, don't you? Okay, man, we got a good show for you guys today. Football is basically here. It's here. We have tons of other sports going on that I think are cool and relevant that you may not, but hey, it's my show, so who cares? We're coming to you live from the Neon Parrot Live studios at the Majestic Coffee Shop here in historic Abilene, Texas, downtown lean town, as the locals call it. Come get you a coffee. Come get you a Topo Chico, my personal favorite twist of lime. You just come downtown and get yourself some cold drinks, hot drinks, some pastries, whatever you might need. We've got a loaded show today. We got a front-loaded show and a back-loaded show. We've got Big Frank for us today, which is the first time in maybe a month or two. He's been busy. We've been summertime in it. The show has not been as consistent due to the summertime festivities. I have moved a child into college at Texas Tech A&M University. Go Aggies, gig 'em. Howdy, all that kind of good stuff. So that's exciting. So we will, as we always do, cover Texas A&M football.
Was that a slight Freudian slip?
What's that?
Did you really want her to go to Tech?
Oh, yeah, that's a great point, Sammy. I was really pushing for her to go to my almost mater, which is Texas Tech University and the flatlands of Lubbock, Texas, where the cotton grows. And, it just wasn't a good fit for her. She's a smarty pants. She's, her jam is the Ivy League of the South over there in College Station, Texas Tech A&M.
Fair enough.
And so that's where she is, and I'm so excited. It was a hard day sending the first kiddo off to school. That was a tough one, but I was listening to Joe Rogan a couple weeks ago, and he talked about, we'll get into this, and then we'll get into the show, but I'm going to start here on college and university life, etc. And Joe Rogan had something very interesting to say about college, and right now the narrative is that college is a scam, college is a waste of time and money, you're never going to use your degree if you go there, you're going to come out saddled with all this debt, and all those things have a lot of truth to them. But here in America, here in this country, what we are lacking almost more than anything is rites of passage for young people. And that is what I'm stealing this from the Joe Rogan experience, but it was a great point. And rites of passage from young people, kids to grown men and women, it just seems to not be there as much these days because college has become what it has become. And if you don't go there with a clear goal in mind, it may in fact be viewed as a waste of time and money. But admittedly, I did not get a degree, but I was a student at Texas Tech University for almost 4 years, and that's where I met my best friends in some cases that I've had my entire life. And that's where I learned how other people lived. Now, why is that so important? I encourage all these kids. We need plumbers. We need electricians. We need linemen. We need all these different professions in the trade industry that we don't have as much of, and it's a huge need in our society. But when you do that, and you live in Abilene, Texas, and you just go right to work or whatever you do, then you don't really get to see how other people live and what other cultures are like. What kind of food do they eat? What kind of struggles did their parents and grandparents go through to get here to this country in some cases? And so I'm a believer in the college experience as a rite of passage, and I'm sorry if it straps you full of debt and you know without a career afterwards. But I still think I think there's so much to be gained by that experience. So that's my little college info or intro there. Um, I definitely have some before we get into sports. I like to talk about other things that I find interesting. And one of the things is I like to talk about books that I read. As you all know, unless you're new to the show, I read the Wall Street Journal, not the whole thing, but just about every day, and definitely the weekend edition. And spooky season, folks, is coming up. It's basically upon us. Spooky season is something that I get excited about because that means that football is like in full force. Boom. Halloween time is fun, and I never used to get into it as much, but I am currently here at the end of August into my first Stephen King novel, Salem's Lot. It is a OG vampire novel, and it is so much fun, set in the 1970s in a fictional town in Maine. And boy, the guy likes to yap. I will say that. It took me, let's be honest here, it took me about 200 pages before we really got into the good stuff, but I have about 200 more or 300 more left, and it's just a fun vampire book. Also, not that I should plug this because they're not going to pay me a dime, but we got a Barnes & Noble here in our little sleepy little community, and I came from a community in the square, as we called it, Midland, Texas, where we had a Barnes & Noble in like 1996. And I don't know why Abilene it took so long for one to get here. And it's probably going to be terrible for the existing bookstores. But you know what? Sink or swim, baby. I don't care because I want all the books. I want the most books that I can get. And although we do have a cute little bookstore downtown, which it's boutique, it's going to be fine. But man, damn, does Barnes & Noble have a lot of books. And I've been there. I don't go to places opening day ever, especially if it's food. If it's a restaurant, you're not going to see me in there for a year because I'm not going to fight all the freaking weirdos in this town that want to go, stack up a mile down the road to eat fast food. But but we are in the storybook capital of the world, maybe the obese capital of the world too. Who knows? But anyways, that's a shot. Took a shot. Barnes & Noble got me my first Stephen King book. I can't wait. And then I bought the Bram Stoker's Dracula book, and it is a leather-bound, looks like an old spooky book, and it's beautiful, and I can't believe I didn't bring that too, but that's my next vampire book that I'm going to read. $15. It should be. That sucker in our other bookstore would cost $40. So they're having a sale on classics right now over there. Write me and Sammy a check, Barnes & Noble. Oh, and thank you to Sammy, my technical producer extraordinaire, who Barnes & Noble can make the check out to, for plugging them. So I'm all over the place this today, folks, and that's okay because today's just a wild day. We're getting into the football season. We're getting into the gridiron time, college football. I can't wait. We're going to get Blake back on pretty soon. Blake's schedule, our resident Aggie, his Viking Aggie, his schedule has taken a turn. And for me, for the worst, because it sure was fun having him on. But I also do love, being at the helm of the ship here, guiding this. And then I get some new cool stuff over here, too. Look at that. I found this in the back. It's a pretty sweet antique ship. Who knows how old that thing is, but I figured it looked good with the Raiders stuff. But anyways, let's talk about the WNBA. Those of you who watch this program religiously, for which I know there are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of you, the WNBA, this is the first season that I have been just all in, that I've been interested. We've discussed why. That's not important right now, but because I'm in it, and I will tell you, I will have you people know that, and I can back this up with a fellow degenerate of mine from my childhood, that I was on a win streak of picking WNBA games for like 8 games in a row. And boy, did it pad the pockets for this coming NFL season for when I will most certainly lose a lot of picks, if you will. So, but man, I was on a hot streak with the WNBA, and I will say this. It's because I really watch the games. Like, I watch the games. I will find it on a streaming service. They stream on Amazon Prime sometimes, Peacock, sometimes HBO Max. It's weird. They're going to work their TV deals out pretty soon, but the playoffs will be coming up real soon. But damn, that is some entertaining basketball, and to me it's far better than the NBA or even men's college basketball. I think the W is incredible. I'm a true convert. And my streak, however, ended the other night. And so, as a degenerate, you don't get very many streaks of winning, okay? But we sure did. And tonight we have the Chicago Sky and versus the New York Liberty. The Liberty are going to be a very, very tough team in the playoffs, and they're like a 15-point favorite in this game, and they could cover that spread. But Chicago Sky, they got, one of the top picks last year in the draft, so that means they're not great. But they've got Angel Reese on their team. I believe she's back from an injury. Anyways, you got that game. You've got the Washington Mystics versus the Connecticut Sun, and the Connecticut Sun they've been, winning some games as of late. You got a lot of games tonight. The Lynx versus the Dream. That's Minnesota versus Atlanta. You've got Phoenix Mercury versus the Las Vegas Aces, which I tend to root for because of my new Las Vegas Raiders, since they have moved from Oakland, the Coliseum. So, and then you've got tomorrow night, you've got the Seattle Storm versus the Dallas Wings. Dallas Wings got Paige Beckers this year from UConn. She's going to be amazing. She's going to be an amazing player. But they're having a tough year, a lot of losses, because when you get the first pick, that means that you suck. So that's just the way that goes. Major League Baseball, who gives a shit? So we don't talk about that. Excuse my language, folks. NFL preseason. Oh, man, at 6 o'clock tonight, Steelers versus the Panthers. Okay, you don't bet on preseason football. Don't do it. You're going to lose, you're going to lose, you're going to lose. So I've finally learned to stay away from preseason football because you don't know what's going to happen. But what is fun, like I've said before, is you get to watch these guys that are fighting for a spot on that roster, and they are playing hard. And that's why it can be dangerous for a starting QB or a starting anything to be playing in these preseason games, because you've got guys across the line from you that are willing to take your head off to look good in front of their coaching staff to get a job on that roster. So, for example, the other day, someone was horse collar tackled. I can't remember who it was, but it was a starting quarterback. Anyways, he got horse collar tackled, and it could have been the end of his season. And it's for what? For a preseason game? Well, I'm gonna ask Big Frank here in a minute what he thinks about playing your starters in the preseason. And there's been a heck of a lot of noise, not the good kind of noise, for Caleb Williams, the starting quarterback for the Bears, and the new head coach, Ben Johnson. And there's always noise in preseason, and what does it mean? Usually it means nothing. This is how the league and the talking hairdos like myself try to create some kind of buzz and content when the off season or the preseason is just kind of boring because we're waiting for the snap of the real stuff when it really counts. So tonight we have 2 games. We have the Steelers versus the Panthers. As we know, my son is a Steelers fan. Why, I don't know, but he is, and he has been saddled with old man Rodgers. Can't believe we're still talking about this guy on the football field. This is clearly they offered to restructure, or they offered to pay him a little bit more money, and he basically said, nah, keep your money. Essentially, this is his swan song. This is his last year. They're going to win 7 or 8 games, maybe 9, and not make the playoffs. But that's, you heard that here first, folks. Then we have the New England Patriots at the New York Giants. The Patriots, I'm not the only one that thinks this, but the Patriots could be the big turnaround year for them because they've got Mike Vrabel as a coach. He's doing good with his young quarterback in Drake May, and the Patriots could really turn things around this year and be relevant at least. And the Giants, oh man, they got Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, and the Giants could be in a bad way, and Brian Daboll is their coach, and I'm just like, there's something about guys with interesting last names that just don't make it very long as head coaches. I don't know why that is. Ben Johnson, normal last name. He may do very well in Chicago. I'll have to ask Big Frank about that weird theory of mine too. Okay, then tomorrow night there's a lot of games tomorrow night. Wow. Okay, there's like 4 games. We'll get into that later. I did a little bit. I think Texas Tech football has one of the richest men in all of college sports as far as donors go. This guy's a multi-billionaire, and he played for Tech. We talked about this some weeks ago, but he played for Texas Tech in the early 2000s. Well, he's an oil tycoon from the Permian Basin, Midland, Odessa area, my old stomping ground where I'm from. Anyways, he's a billionaire, and he has decided to sink a lot of his millions and millions and millions of dollars into Texas Tech's roster. So a tasty little wager, I didn't come up with this, could be, if you so choose to place a wager, is Texas Tech to win the Big 12 conference this year. And there are futures bets that you can make regarding who wins the conferences, and I think Tech could very well do it this year with the roster that this billionaire is coming up with, his financing. We got the U.S. Open tennis tournament, kind of the qualifying rounds going on, and I'm gonna watch it because I like tennis, but I don't know if there's much buzz there. Sure in Wimbledon, that's for sure. The United States does some things amazing, and some things they just don't. Like tennis in the U.S. is just kind of blah, It's in New York City. It's like hot as hell. And when it's hot in New York City, for those of you who live there, or who've been there, in July and August in New York City, it smells like a dumpster. And I just can't imagine having to trudge around in that heat, walking around from court to court, watching some, as far as our American talent in tennis right now isn't that great. Okay, we're about to get Big Frank on because I've kind of run through a lot of my opening stuff here. I did want to mention, because we do always get into some current events, over the summer it was kind of heavy with AI stuff and some world news, which I always like to poke in here because it's relevant to me in our area, because we've got this monstrosity of an AI data center and outside, basically in Abilene, Texas, and it's a complete SHIT show, and everybody that I talk to is just like, yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Okay, cool. Nobody has any concerns but me and a handful of other tinfoil hat people, apparently. But history, or time will tell what that's all about and who gets any money out of all that as far as the citizens of this county and city go, which, I think whoever's going to get money from that has already got their money and they're gone. But something that's interesting, Trump seeks to end mail-in voting. Okay, a lot of thing about Trump lately that we can say is crazy and we don't like, but ending mail-in voting, I'm all for. Do that yesterday. That is where 99.99999% of the voting fraud in this country comes from. And you can try to argue that if you want. It's actually a fact. So, unless you're in the military or you are disabled, then you don't get to mail in vote. You don't get to put, they just had on my screen, I gave Sammy 0 content to put up on the screen today, but we'll do that next week. But I will make a note of this. But there is a Democrat staffer. He's actually a lawmaker, and I think West Virginia was stuffing a mailbox full of ballots, okay, that were not legitimate. There's video proof, evidence. He's now being investigated criminally. Okay, that's how whichever side chooses to cheat. I don't care what side you're on, but mail-in voting is how you cheat. And if the president can make mail-in voting illegal, then that would be wonderful. I'm all for it. Unless you're in the military, or unless you have a disability, or maybe you're out of the country, and that should be it. And though you should be identified specifically. And because you know what? There's not that many people that actually would need to do that. So then you don't have, that doesn't account for that many votes now, does it? Okay, so that's that. U.S. urges Putin and Zelensky to meet. Oh, my God, the Russia-Ukraine thing, like, good Lord, that is interesting, isn't it? Or is it? Do I care? I don't think I do. A Michigan town owes wineries millions. Wow. Vintners looking to grow their revenue win a big judgment and put city officials in a bind. Yeah, it's like freaking scamming poor wine vintners, winery owners. Okay, let's see here. Just to get through this, and then we're going to get big.
Man, those vintners really like to wine.
No! Oh. That's great. Oh, man, I heard a good one the other day. I'm not going to be able to remember it. Oh, I got it. Speaking of our AI data center, I was asked the other day, Dad, where do you get all these dad jokes from? And I was like, from a database. Ha! That's awful, isn't it? Okay. Ooh, Arctic conditions. Let's see here. We could have an interesting winter this year. I'm hoping for it. What to know about kratom supplements? Yeah, that turns out that I don't think that's a good deal. The kratom thing is starting to prove to be pretty bad. Okay, almost through here. Oh, man. I'm going to ask Big Frank what he thinks about the Michigan football program basically not getting in trouble for cheating. Because the NCAA, the governing body of college sports, is a joke. It's not even real. Every once in a while, they swing their sword. But basically, there's a Netflix documentary about this guy that was employed by Michigan football program to steal signs from their opponents. And he had a staff of, I think, 15 dudes that would go to different stadiums in disguises with, like, fake mustaches and things and steal the signs. And then, but of course, it's very interesting. There's
like the scoreboard signs or the stadium signage or the sponsor signs? What signs?
So signs as far as when coaches are on the sidelines signaling to their players. So when they're signaling whatever, like baseball coaches do, they'll touch their nose, all these other kind of things. And like, so that's old school signs. But then nowadays they use different billboards different different signage that means certain things to the players on the field so they can communicate that non-verbally. But anyway, so they had this staff that was stealing the signs of these other programs. And, the Michigan people are like, well, everybody cheats. Everybody does it. Whatever. It's like not a big deal. And then all the people that aren't Michigan are like, hey, you guys cheated. Like, what the hell? What are you going to do about this, NCAA? And NCAA strapped them with it's like a $20 or $40 million fine, which is literally pocket change for programs like this. And then the coach that's no longer there, that is the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, has been banned from college football coaching for 10 years. And he's not even in college football. He's done with college football. Michigan won a national championship during this sign stealing scandal. And I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird. I don't know what to think about all this. I definitely think that these programs are so big that the NCAA is not really going to. Because what you do if you really want to get them is you vacate their wins. You take their national championship trophy away from them if, in fact, they did the illegal things that they are purported to have done. But they're not going to do that. And I remember when I was younger, in the early 2000s, Ohio State kids, like, was it Reggie Bush that lost his Heisman over tattoos? Basically, this tattoo parlor was basically giving the Ohio State football players free tattoos, and the NCAA came down on them hard over freaking tattoos. And now these guys are cheating their asses off, and they're like, okay, we're going to strap you with a fine, and the people that aren't in the program anymore or in college football can't coach in college football. That is not a disciplinary action. That is basically letting everybody else think that you're doing something when you're not. But and they're not even getting a postseason ban. I think it's because there was evidence of, the scheme, but maybe, I don't know. We're going to ask Big Frank about that. Okay. That was in the Wall Street Journal. Very cool. Oh. The nationalization of Intel. Interesting. Trump gets real on Ukraine's security. Okay. Freaking Gaza, Israelis, yikes. Let's not cover any of that. Okay, we're going to get Big Frank on the program now. I am calling him in. Get him on the line. Seeing what he's got to say. I do want to ask him about this Michigan stuff, too.
Hello.
Hey, Big Frank, how the heck are you?
Hello.
Hey, Big Frank, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. How are you today, buddy?
I'm doing fine. How are you? How's the summer been, bud?
Oh, man, it's been crazy. Just got my first kid off to college, going to Texas A&M.
Nice. Are you happy about that? Are you a Texas A&M guy?
Well,
I
guess I am now. I went to Texas Tech, so
okay.
I was
That's
really,
what I'm saying.
yeah, I was really pushing for Tech, but that just wasn't in the cards. That wasn't the right fit for her. So now I'm wearing some maroon,
Correct.
wearing a little maroon these days.
That's all right. You can change your alliance now.
That's right. That's right. So we're excited about that. It was, it's difficult to have the first kid move out of the house, but
yeah, that's a tough one. That really is. But they're not. How far is Tech from you? Is it easy? Is it an easy drive or long drive or?
It's like 4 hours, so it's not necessarily down the road, but it's not too far away.
Correct. Yeah, it's far away for them. It's good enough far away for them to get away from home, but close enough to get there.
That's right. Exactly.
If you have to. So That's perfect. Well, good for you. So I'm glad for her. I like Texas Tech. They're pretty good. Isn't that Johnny Manziel?
So
Tech, or no?
yeah, so Texas A&M is where she is, and that was Johnny Football.
Gotcha.
Johnny Manziel was at Texas A&M, and they have a big beautiful stadium that seats like 115,000 people.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my God, it's just it's something else. And their first game is next week. They play UTSA. It's UTSA's not really a cupcake anymore, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, it's right around the corner. It's that time of year.
That's right. And then I've seen some videos of your grandkids getting raised right on how to say "Go Bears" and "the Packers stink." How about that?
Yeah. She's training them right.
That's so good. Well, I wanted to get you on a couple weeks ago and talk about like kind of what your thoughts about the kind of preseason noise that has been the Bears training camp and Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, and how I kind of think it's a big nothing burger. That's what I think. But
the preseason around here, especially since we did the Justin Fields thing because he was supposed to be the guy after the Trubisky guy, and now with Caleb Williams, it's like we're always great. Preseason that the talk is, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be it, and then it's kind of fizzled out. But this year's different. I mean, this Ben Johnson to me looks like he's going to be the real deal. Because you see a lot of everything now is Bears, right? So you see a lot of the videos of from practices and stuff like that, and he's really not messing around with these guys. I mean, he's calling people out when they're not doing stuff right, and it just looks different. I mean, we went to the preseason game Sunday night.
Nice.
We have tickets, and usually what we do is the guys that all have the tickets, they all have kids, so we wanted to take the kids to the preseason game because if you make it to halftime, you're lucky, right?
Right.
You get the kids excited. So, but we all, we went. My oldest son John, he took his two because his two are 10 and 7, and my wife Diane went, who is not a football fan at all, but it's like okay. But I want to tell you, it was totally different. I know it was preseason, but we just looked like a football team. We looked sharp. We looked like we knew what we were doing. We weren't making any mistakes. We weren't making, the same dumb plays and play calls. Wide receiver screen left, wide receiver screen right. Nothing down the field. I know it was just a short sample with Caleb Williams in there, but even with the 2s and the 3s and the 4s, later on, it looked crisper. It looked different. I'm really excited about this year because I think they finally got the coach. I mean, this guy was who everybody wanted, and he wanted to come here, and so we're just, I'm not that. You crazy to think that we can make the playoffs this year? We could, but I think we can see improvement, and this is something more of a long term because our schedule it's always based on last year's. It's a tough schedule that we have this year.
Yeah, that's a rough one. That's a rough one.
We play a lot of good teams. So if we could win 8 to 9 games this year, I think that would be a vast improvement, and we could get lucky, and we could do more. Our defense good as our offense comes around and helps bail our defense out. We could maybe win 9, 10 games and make the playoffs. But I think it looks really good from what I've seen so far, even both preseason games. And then, the talk now is they're playing Kansas City Friday night for, the last preseason game. Kansas City announced they're playing their starters. And then he just said the other day that we're going to play ours, at least for a series or two. So you're going to see for the first 10 or 15 minutes in that game, some good football. Some guys are still battling for starting positions and stuff like that. Plus, you're going to get, Mahomes out there against Caleb Williams, kind of see what they can do. So I'll be interested to see how we match up like that, so.
Yeah, and it looks to me like this Ben Johnson fella is, like you mentioned with their practices, it looks to me like he's actually building culture, which which is
Oh
like,
yeah.
I mean, that's what's been lacking there, in my opinion. And
Yes. Absolutely, because even Caleb Williams was saying that he'll call him out in practice, and he'll say, hey, look at what did you see here, what did you see there, and go from there. And he's just not anybody who it ever is. He has a specific way that he wants to run his offense, and the big thing is, Caleb Williams never played under center his whole life. Actually, from high school, I was reading about this. From high school, to college, to even his first, year when we had here, he never went under center hardly at all. Never. And now that's the big thing that they're trying to teach him is under center because it opens up so much more play action for Ben Johnson and his stuff. If you're in a shotgun, you pretty much know every single time you're going to throw the ball. Every once in a while, you may throw like a pitch back to a running back, or if the running back is next to the quarterback, every once in a while you might hand it off to him. But if you're in the shotgun, you're kind of limiting how many plays you can run out of it. But what he wants to do is he wants him to get him under center to say, okay, is it going to be a run? Is it going to be a pass? And each each call that comes in has 2 or 3 plays in it, and he's got to get up to the line and read a defense and then make a call for what he thinks he sees.
yeah.
So it's kind of different. It's putting more onus on him to kind of like try to read the field and get the right play call and in the right formations and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I've liked what I've seen so far. And everybody talks about, oh, practice, he had a bad practice and he had a bad practice.
Yeah,
But
that's just noise.
yeah, that's just noise, because that's what they're doing. They're throwing certain things at him,
Yeah.
to mix him up. They want to mess him up to see how he handles it,
And gosh, the sports media and the rest of us just want content so bad right now.
Oh,
we can just
nowadays,
taste it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, especially everybody that goes, everybody's bringing their phones now.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they let phones into practice. Why they just don't say,
Yeah.
they confiscate them. Like sometimes at concerts they do that.
Exactly.
They'll just say, get your phone out of here, because they'll go in and then they start filming practice, and then people are posting on, well, look at here, he threw 2 interceptions,
Yeah.
and 11 drills and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well, and at the Masters in Augusta, I think they don't let you take your phones in there, right?
Oh no, you have to either.
And that's like that's like thousands of
if you
people.
forget
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they just don't allow it, which they shouldn't. They don't want the distraction from it. So
they should start. We should start getting that out there for these NFL guys. Oh, I'll tell you the other thing I wanted to get your take on. I got two topics. The first one is Bears related. Did you see I know you did, the press conference of the backup quarterback that got signed for the Bears?
Yes.
Man, wasn't that emotional and like incredible story?
But let me tell you something. You know the story behind that kid. He was, like a Division III guy or something like that, and he a free agent pickup, and he come in. He long haired, kid and everything, but he stuck on the team the first year and actually played because Justin Fields got hurt.
Right.
And the guy wasn't bad. He was just a real raw kid, and now with under Ben Johnson, is taking him under his wing kind of, and this kid is really, really good,
Yeah.
and his dad, I don't know if you watched the Hard Knocks from last year, but his dad is a professional arm wrestler.
That's right.
And actually, I have the video of it. Last year, when I think it was opening day, we've got our truck and everything.
Oh, I have that. I have that picture.
And he comes in and he's in the parking lot, and I'm wrestling him, I mean, and he's just a funny guy. But yesterday when he was doing his press conference, he said, I come from a town in West Virginia where my dad didn't have running water until he was in high school. He goes, I'm making kind of money now that nobody where I'm from, even knows about,
Yeah.
and so to make it to this point, and apparently he's married and he's expecting his first kid pretty soon too, you know, and he's kind of cleaned up a little bit. He's kind of cut the long hair that he used to have, but
Sure.
he was used to be a workout freak. He says if this wasn't going to work out, being picked up as a free agent, he was just going to go be an instructor at one of those CrossFit gyms.
Yeah.
Because he's a workout freak. He works out constantly, and he said that was going to be my life. Maybe be a teacher, but be an instructor at CrossFit my whole life. He goes, and now here I am, and I'm signing a 2-year extension worth $10 million. He goes, it's amazing. That's a good story, good kid story,
Absolutely.
And he's got talent. Let me tell you, he's got talent.
Yeah, so. that's such a great story, and I'm actually looking on my phone right now. I think I have the picture, the video of you guys at that tailgate.
I have it somewhere. He come in and he was just messing with me. You were in there, and it's like, okay, let's go, and I'm going, and he could have. I mean, if I wanted to, try to do it, give him some resistance or something, he probably could have snapped my arm like a chicken bone,
Right.
But it was just like, just a super nice guy, just walking around the tailgates, just excited that his kid even is still on the team. I think this is going into his 3rd year now. So, just to be there. And then, this year coming in with Ben Johnson, they didn't think he was going to, be there because it's not his guy. They brought in this Case Keenum, who is supposed to be a good, serviceable backup because he's been in the league for a while. And then they got somebody else. I don't even know his name, but this kid is worked his way up, and he's going to be their number 2. And if something happened to, Caleb when he gets hurt, this guy could come in and easily, get him by until Caleb gets back or something like that. And I'll tell you, if you're a team like, Tennessee or somebody's looking for a quarterback, this kid, he could be a starter somewhere, I think, one of these days. If he continues to work, it is what he, especially with Ben Johnson. If you watched any of the game, Friday, especially with him, he played most of the game up until the end. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. I found the video of you arm wrestling his dad. I sent it to Sammy, my producer, and I'm gonna see if he can get it on for us. He probably can here in a minute. But if and when he does, I'll let you know so that when you're rewatching the video, you can send it to your family and friends.
Yeah, I know you always send it to Jenna, and then she forwards it on.
Yeah,
and then we watch it. So that'd be pretty cool.
So what I don't want to talk about is the Raiders and Geno Smith. But what I do want to talk about is the what. Okay, so you're from the Midwest.
Triggering arm wrestling video now.
Okay, so Sammy's got that video going, but I do want to talk to you about the Michigan deal. Isn't that interesting? Like, there's a whole Netflix documentary on this sign stealing stuff, and there appears to be pretty good evidence that was cheating, But does everybody do it and blah, blah, blah?
And everybody does it is right, and I think that's one of the things where if it was anybody else, but if it's a Michigan, if it's Ohio State, if it's a Georgia, if it's a Notre Dame, one of these big schools, they're going to make a big deal out of it, but it goes on all the time. It just does. And they happen to get caught on it, and they're making such a big deal out of it. I don't know, my opinion, I think it's a big nothing.
Yeah.
But, it's just like, again, because it's a big school and they want to have something on it. So these guys were cheating and these were sign stealing. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
For all those Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So the stuff that they didn't have to go through and nothing ever, come out of it because everybody does it.
And like the Houston Astros, man. Yeah, the Houston Astros, they're banging on trash cans, and it's just like, I guess, it's one of those things. We like to think that nobody cheats in our sports, but they do, and people bend the rules and stuff like that. But
and even cheating for me sometimes is kind of a hard I don't know if it's actually cheating if you're just taking everything. If you're using a sign,
yeah,
okay, and you can steal it, you can steal it. So that's why they went to this PitchCom now. So you can take that away from PitchCom. You know, with PitchCom, it takes it away. But if you've got stuff out there that you can actually see something happening, why don't you let your teammates being able to know what's going on so you could take advantage of it? You know, it's like anything. So for something like that, it's not like, you know, I don't know, you can even go back to the steroids, you know, years where guys were taking steroids and stuff like that, which made it a little bit different. But for something like this, it's like, you know, they're probably upset because it didn't help their team win. But if it was their team that was winning, they say, oh, it's nothing big. Don't worry about it, you know?
Right,
So,
exactly. Yeah, so that's a good take. I think I agree with you on that. I think that they were wanting to take some heads, and they tried to do that with Michigan.
And you know, okay, if it's that bad and you think it's that bad, okay, give them a punishment. What's their punishment? A fine?
Right. Yeah.
A monetary fine from a school that probably it takes in not millions anymore, but billions, especially with NIL money. And now these boosters can give them as much money as they want. There's no regulation on it. I mean, what are you going to do? Hit them with a fine?
Yeah,
I mean,
like 20 million. They could probably find 20 million in their couch cushion, you know.
They make that in one game, one preseason game.
Exactly.
You know?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool with your I like your take there. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you on that. And but yeah, so Sammy did get that video up of you arm wrestling with Tyson Bagent. Is that Tyson Bagent?
Well,
Is that his name?
It's his dad. I don't know what his dad's
yeah,
name
it's
is.
it's his dad, the backup QB that just signed with Chicago.
Yeah.
And so cool, great story. And you got to meet him. And I've got to go to some Texas A&M games this year, but I am gonna try to schedule a Chicago visit and bring the crew out to Chicago and see you guys.
I know you guys aren't Cowboy fans, but we've got them. I think it's our second home game, which is, you know, we play Minnesota Monday night, and then we go to Detroit, and then we have the Cowboys game home. I know Jenna was trying to, you know, see if anybody was going to come in for that, you know, but yeah, earlier in the year, the better, so you don't have to deal with the
weather,
with the elements.
Yeah,
and the new Bears truck is almost finished. It's almost on the on the finish line. He sent us some pictures for the outside of the wrap, and with the inside, we should be picking that thing up. I'm a little bit frustrated that it hasn't been done yet. You know, I just told him as long as it's done before the first game.
Right.
But it's kind of like getting to and he says, don't worry, it'll be done. It'll be done. It'll be done. So, you know, that'll be done. And when I get that done, I'm going to send some videos to you too, so you can have it. So maybe you can put them up too when you do a show. You know, we'll get those sent out to you to see what this one looks like.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah, send those over. And then, you know, how about this Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons deal? What an idiot.
Listen, you know what? Now I'm glad you brought that up, because the talk down here now is that because the Bears have gotten pretty much everything done on offense, and, you know, their defense is always good, there's talk down here that the Bears should be talking to them and are talking to them and are willing to give up a first rounder next year and a first rounder the year after. But they say the asking price is 2 first rounders plus a starter. They said the asking price on this thing is astronomical. But if he's that unhappy there and doesn't want to play, that there will be suitors that will line up. And I would make that trade in a heartbeat, for the simple reason because he's such a young kid.
Oh yeah,
and he's really the surface.
Yeah, he's really amazing. He's not even in his prime yet, I don't think.
No.
And you know, Jerry's acting like a cowboy. I think he's really losing it, because like an actual Wild West cowboy. Like, you can't be doing deals in your office without the kid's agent there and expect that to work.
Well, that's just how he is, you know. That's how he is, and he's ticking. And then again, you know, it's hard when you get all these players. I think Cincinnati's going through the same thing. You can't pay everybody.
Yeah,
you know, they had to pay Burrow, they had to play, you know, Chase, the other guy, and now they're Sardiga and Hendrickson, but he's good too, but he's too old.
Yeah.
I would maybe give up 1 first for him, maybe not even a first for a second, because you don't know how many more years he's got. So you can't pay everybody.
That's right.
But him, Parton, you gotta pay him.
Yeah, you got to.
So. Yeah.
Well, cool, Big Frank. It was great talking to you today, and I can't wait.
I got to run here, too. I'm finishing up and getting my oil changed. They just called me.
All right, Big Frank. Thanks for joining us, and I'll talk to you next week.
I'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Ben.
All right,
Bye.
See ya. Oh, folks. How about that? Big Frank in the house at the breakdown. That was great content for the show. I'm excited that one sec, guys. I gotta okay, I had to send a text there, but great stuff with Big Frank. We got some cool video footage of him arm wrestling the backup quarterback's father at a tailgate at the Bears game. And he's got his new tailgating truck almost ready for action. We're going to try to make it to a Bears game this year. We're going to be going to some Texas A&M Aggie games too. I'm excited for next week's shows. Watch some WNBA tonight, guys. It's going to be amazing. That's some really great play. Read a book. It's getting to be spooky season. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for football. Go to the bookstore, read a book. It's good for you. It's fun. When you're sitting around, in between, you're waiting in your car or whatever, get a book, read it. We're going to talk Raiders next week. I didn't want to get into it today because I want to see how this weekend plays out with some preseason stuff. We are live at the Neon Parrot Live Studios at the Majestic Coffee Shop in downtown Abilene, Texas. I'd like to thank Sammy, my technical producer extraordinaire. Check out the Travie Wavy show before this show, The Breakdown with your not-so-humble talking hairdo, Ben. This is episode 50-something of The Breakdown. Catch us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Come get a drink. Watch some sports, go see a movie. Superman was, I liked it, but the dog thing kind of bothered me a little bit. But anyways, Christopher Nolan Batman movies are the best. Nothing will ever compare, ever. And we've got, what else we got? Stop mail-in voting. Ukraine and Russia are going to keep killing each other. Okay. We got, a little Reba McEntire article here. Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging around, having fun with me here at The Breakdown. Have a wonderful day and an even better weekend. And we will see you next week. Sammy, you can take us out whenever you're ready. Yeah. The Breakdown.